step, brothers and sisters, is some of our games that our children are playing should be games that encourage cooperation amongst the children, and they're a team game, right? Some games that children play are a one-man game. It's just me and I'm playing this game and I'm doing it by myself. I'm playing a jigsaw puzzle, for instance, right? There are other games that we also need to have where the games are competitive. When I play this game, I'm playing against other kids and I beat them, right? And I'm the winner. They need that as well. But in this game that I'm talking about now, we're talking about a game where cooperation is required. Cooperation is required for success. So brothers and sisters, I want to give you 2 ayat of the Quran, at least later for your own notes. Later when you're talking to other parents, these 2 ayat of the Quran, these parts of these verses may be useful. What we're coming up with is this. We as human beings have been hardwired so that we both need to compete. We also need to cooperate. Okay? A verse about competition is Surah 57 and verse number 21. One of the verses where Allah encourages us in the Quran to compete with one another. Allah says in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Sabiqu ila maghfiratin min rabbikum. So you compete with one another, you race one another to get maghfirah, to get reward. So we do need to compete. As adults, we need to make sure we're competing for the right things. But that need to be the best, to outdo, to push till there's nothing left in the tank, that is a need that's been hardwired into the fitrah. The other need which we're focusing on today is we have a need to cooperate, to learn how to be a team player, right? So this one, brothers and sisters, Surah 5 and verse number 2, one part of it is this. Allah says in the Quran, وَتَعَاوَنُوا. Help one another and help one another. عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. We need to help one another. So we need to cooperate. Okay. Now, what are the benefits of having a game where children learn to cooperate? There's going to be one trait that works so well when people do it the right way, and many times you'll see adults have not worked on this trait and they're not able to do it. That trait, that benefit that comes out of these kind of games, one of them is the idea of learning to be a good soldier. Okay? We have hadith, this is now from the Imam. The Imam is explaining. So they asked Imam Sadiq, is it possible to have 2 Imams at the same time? Is it possible to have 2 Imams at the same time? The Imam said this. He said, Qala la. No, you can't have 2 Imams at the same time. Illa, except Imamun Samit. If you have a silent Imam, la yatakallam. Right, one Imam has taken the lead. He's the one who's directing. He's the leader. And the other Imam is silent, a silent Imam. And the other, وَيَتَكَلَّمُ الَّذِي قَبْلَهُ. The Imam who was before him, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein are both there. One is the silent Imam, the good soldier Imam, and the other Imam is the lead Imam. Okay, when are we going to learn, or our children to learn, how to even be a good soldier? Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, children, I'm going to start with our case studies, right? Children, when they learn to cooperate, the joy that a child gets from cooperating with other small children is different from the joy that a child gets when I'm playing an individual game, or the joy that I get when I'm defeating another child and I become the champion. We have all 3 needs, okay? But that joy is special. So we want to make sure our children grow up. I have all 3 tools in my toolbox. Case study. There is a family with a grandfather, beloved grandfather, who lives in the country. The cousins, there's a lot of cousins. The cousins get to go over and visit their grandfather and go to his idyllic country home. His home has not only a small garden where they can work in, but there's also a creek that runs by it. And what the parents noticed is that when they go to visit grandpa, They spend hours out there, hours outside. Everybody comes back exhausted, but they all feel really good about the overall experience and going out. Now we're going to see a little bit of what it's like when they go out to see their grandfather. So the kids come, they get permission from grandpa, and now they're about to go running outside. All the little cousins are running outside. The first thing the kids decide to do, they start talking. What game should we play? There's a lot of cousins. What game should we play? Somebody says, okay, we should build a mud house. Another one says we should gather this, we should do this. Consultation. Our children are learning to consult. Everybody comes up with a different idea. One of the children says this: before we decide what game we're going to play, let's pick a leader, one person to be in charge, right? We have this in hadith from the Prophet. He says, even if just 3 people go on a trip, definitely make one of the people an amir. Learning to be able to follow a lead, to have a lead, to be organized. The kids quickly go over. They say the kid who raised his voice and said that who should be the leader, he said, today you're the leader. A lot of times the leadership isn't a big ego issue for kids. We need to have, they want to play the game. You be in charge. The leader then says, okay, let's divide up the tasks. They decide they're going to go over, they're going to build that mud hut. So he says, okay, well, I need you to go down to the riverbank. I need you to bring the big rocks. I need you to get the sand. I need you to do this. And the kids start to cooperate. Their grandfather comes out of the house. The kids are over there busy building their house and everything like that. The grandfather is encouraging, tells them a little bit of stuff. And also they notice that the grandfather goes over and he has like some dried fruit that he gives everybody. Everybody's hands are dirty because they're working in the dirt. So the grandfather says, open your mouth. And he just pops the fruit into each person's mouth. The kids take that. The grandfather walks back inside. The kids are over there building. And by the way, their other relatives are coming out too, right? This is everybody's aunts, uncles. To a man, the parents, when they come out, they're encouraging, but they're stepping back and allowing these kids to cooperate and build that little house. Now, in the end, there's a little mud house that's been built. The kids have made a little yard using leaves. They left some of the trees. The parents come out, everybody encouraging, oohs and ahs. A couple of things happened. There were some small fights amongst the kids, right? Normally, if you're cooperating, should I as a parent be paranoid that there's some small fights amongst kids? The little small fights, we'll learn inshallah later how to deal with fights, but the little bit of going back and forth, disagreeing, the little fights that kids have, those are actually healthy, and the kids will learn how to defend themselves later. They'll learn how to interact with others later, as opposed to those kids who grow up in a pure and sterile environment where I never had to talk to anybody, I never had to argue with anybody. We shouldn't get panicked or paranoid about that. Now, brothers and sisters, the danger of kids only playing one-man games. Let's say I didn't follow these instructions. I didn't make sure that the kids had games where they were forced to cooperate. What happens if a kid grows up and I always only play one-man games, right? I can't play team games. A couple of things could happen. One of them is the children could grow up to be very individualistic. I never learned to cooperate. I never learned to share my toys, to give and, right? Your kids might not be able to resolve issues and have discussions. They might not have grit. Children who don't know how to work with one another, they definitely can't be good soldiers. And someone who is not a good soldier will also be an ineffective leader. If I want to be able to be a good soldier, I have to even learn how, a good leader later, I have to learn how to be able to be a soldier, what it's like to be a grunt. Okay? Unfortunately, these kind of kids who grow up when everything was about me, later when other people share an opinion, I consider it to be interfering. You're interfering with me. I don't welcome it, right? So sometimes these kind of kids will grow up to be little dictators. And I'm going to share a little bit about what happens if you grow up to be a little dictator, right? Because now our parents are thinking way in advance, how do I fix these kind of problems? So there's something that you and I want to work. We're going to shift gears just a second, and we're going to come back. One of the things you and I want to do in our tarbiyah is that our children grow up to be independent. We want to have children who grow up to be independent. We're talking about cooperation, but we're still raising children who are independent. That doesn't mean I'll be a little dictator, though. If a child was raised to be independent, there'll be signs. How do I know if I'm raising a child who's independent and strong in the right way? How do I know if they're becoming a little dictator? If they've been raised the right way, the child who is independent, Islamically independent, when they're given a task, the child tries to use their God-given talents and tries their best to accomplish the task on their own. A child who was raised the wrong way, who was spoiled, is always trying to either make my parents do things for me that I'm capable of doing, or other people. Instead of me being independent, everybody else do, you work, you, right? Some of the games, brothers and sisters, that our children play should be results-oriented, or games that bear fruit. Some of the games that they play should be games that produce real tangible results. I want to give you an example. So children, even from the time they are infants, they are always pursuing a goal in every game that they play. Yes, for us as adults, I might think a child is waving a rattle or trying to put such and such thing in their mouth. That's aimless. No, for the child, there is a goal, even if it is satisfying my sense of curiosity, or if I am amusing myself, there's always a goal. The goal of the game becomes more important as the child gets older. The goal of the game becomes more important as the child gets older. Now, what we want to do are ideally some of our games to have physical, tangible results. After the child steps away, they can see this is the result of the game that I played. Some of the games that we find to be problematic, and now I'm just going to step a little bit into the dangers of video games. Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Some games have no real results on the outside world, and they don't help the child mature or develop their character. So I'm going to give the example, with your permission, of a bad mom. Okay, bad mom. This little kid, we'll name him Ali. We've changed his names to keep him and his family safe. The mother's name is Salma. So Ali, little kid, every day when he wakes up, when he eats breakfast, he gets to watch cartoons. His mom has a little iPad for him. They're only safe cartoons, G-rated cartoons. And the little kid sits and he watches and he eats breakfast. When he watches and he eats breakfast, you can hear from the other room. Salma, by the way, likes this little step. She can do so many things. It's so convenient. He has his little screen and he's watching and he's not bothering her. But what you hear are either the little kid just shouting for joy if it's a good game, if it's a good cartoon that he likes, or if it's a game that he doesn't like, or a cartoon that he doesn't like, some kind of comedy, then he's like, boring, right? But there's no growth. There's no change in character. He doesn't become more mature. He's just sitting and he's watching and he's leaving. In the end, he gets up and he moves on. That's different to the games that we're going to try and have for our kids, okay? So the thing about TV, screen time, is many times our children are just consumers. They're not affecting anything. They're not changing the world around them. Inshallah, I'll look at 2 of the ayat of the Quran about us putting our footprint on the universe. And the idea that even as a child, some of the games that I play be games where you can see the results of me putting in the time. Okay? So, other games, as an example, where your child, you have a poster board and your child is learning to draw, the child can see the results of that action as opposed to that. So the rule in Tarbiyah, what we're trying to do, and I'm going to share again 2 ayat of the Quran later for reference, later when you're talking to other parents, where are we trying to go with this? In Islam, we learn that we human beings, 1, we're the greatest of Allah's creation. 2, our actions, our decisions affect the whole universe, the physical universe. 2 ayat of the Quran, and then after that back into our thing. So the first one is Surah 30 and verse number 41. What about our bad deeds? Allah says this in the Quran. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Corruption has appeared on land and sea because of what the hands of people have earned. My actions, my physical actions, are having an effect on the universe, a negative effect. What about if we do the right things? Later, where are we trying to take our kids? Okay? Second verse is Surah 7, verse number 96. What about positive actions, good deeds? How do I leave my footprint on the universe? Allah says, وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ. If it were the case that the people in the villages, آمَنُوا, they had iman, وَاتَّقَوْا, and they did taqwa, لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. God would rain down blessings on these people from the heavens and the earth if they have iman and taqwa. So, later, for our children, we're getting them to understand you affect the world around you. Even now, when these are small children, that some of the games that they play are games where they can see the physical and tangible effect of what they're doing on the world around you. So, before I get to that, a little bit about the dangers of video games. All right, brace yourselves, guys. Inshallah, there will be a presentation. Inshallah, Sister Amira will be presenting some of the scientific side. Inshallah, hopefully we can get Brother Hassan to also present a little bit about what it is that these things do. But let me just share a little bit. So in the in the video game world, there are no physical results after I complete that level or play that game, right? The results, if they're there, they're in my mind and in my imagination. One of the things you and I'm going to mention this later, you and I are trying to reverse engineer Qasim bin Hassan, okay? What does the West do that's different than what we do, part of the danger of the video games? What the West does is the West awakens the physical side early. People who are exposed to see certain things or hear certain things before they are supposed to, the other side, their sexual side, awakens early. But what does the West do? Instead of strengthening their intellectual side, we're going to talk about Islam after, I strengthen the imaginative side. I have fake heroes, I have movies, I have Marvel characters. You've been building that side. So you awoken my physical side. You did not develop my intellectual side. You did awaken my imaginative side, right? So you've got that going well. So now when I am sexually mature, even before my time, I don't have the tools to defend myself. Qasim bin Hassan, we're reverse engineering what Imam Hussein did. By the time your kids are 14, you want when their Karbala is presented, they can follow their Imam. What do we do? We are allowing the physical side of the child to develop at its natural pace. We are then encouraging early marriage for children. So we're going to provide a solution. When you become of age, when every child is ready, that's their time to marry. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't believe, no, wait till the kid's 21. Some of your kids will be ready to marry earlier. What else do? We also strengthen the intellectual side, and we introduce our children to the realities of the universe, the laws of the universe, right? We're talking about the Quran, right? So our children they are familiar with the realities of the universe, and we have helped them when they were younger to develop the tools that they need to have proper relationships, to be able to cooperate, to be able to lead, to be able to follow real life skills. We taught our children from the early age to have real life skills so they're able to handle our responsibilities, right? Some people, and this is again, this is no knock. People do have no idea what they're doing when it comes to the video games. They have no idea. Nobody is willingly setting out to harm their kids. They just don't know what they're up against. They don't know the results. They don't know what it's going to be in 20 years. Okay? I'm just going to share a little bit about it, and then later, inshallah, you others will be able to kind of keep in mind. What people don't know is this. There are real life families, practicing people, where the parents, let's say the father is addicted to video games. The family is suffering in silence because the father is addicted. And he is a practicing man, a good man, but video games, the addiction started early, okay? Sometimes we have the opposite. The mother is addicted to video games. These are real life examples. What happens is you and I, we can't see 15 years from now. 15 years from now, when my child is so addicted to a video game, I'm seeing with my 2 eyes, they are ruining their life here. But I can't stop them from the addiction. It's so deeply rooted. Now I'm kind of working my way through it. I'm talking, I'm trying to explain, but I can see that you're addicted. The child is too weak to break the addiction. Okay? But the thing is, we just don't know. So as Allah says in the Quran, Surah 35 and verse number 14, وَلَا يُنَبِّئُكَ مِثْلُ خَبِيرٍ. Someone who's aware, nobody can inform you like the person who is aware. What parents don't know is that the video game industry, the gaming industry, generates more money than movies and music combined. This is what we're up against. There's thought behind this. This is random, right? So just again to think about it. How much, let's say there's a really great Hollywood movie, right? And I watch it and I enjoy it. How many times can I really watch a movie? How many, 2 times, 1 time, 3 times, right? How many times do I play a video game? How many hours are consumed by me playing the video game? And some of this isn't rocket science. Some of us can easily talk to our nephews, our nieces. We can find out how much time, on average, a lot of people are spending on the video games. The video games are not like when I grew up, right? I'm 51 years old. I remember those old video games. The new video games are not like that. Some parents don't know what happens when you defeat the various levels of the video game. What's there? The parent have no idea. I'm doing my kid a favor. I just bought them. Would you celebrate for your birthday? Would I buy you crack? Yeah, bismillah, some crack. Alhamdulillah. Mubarakat. We wouldn't do that. Right? So the thing is that the parents don't know what it's going to be like in the teenage years when they're fighting. I introduced the addiction now because it was easy. I bought them the game. They're not bothering me. I can't see later. When I'm trying to wrest that out of their hands, I just can't see. But inshallah, we'll do. If we can introduce games, these are now back to the benefits of games where there are real tangible results. And I'm going to give you the case study later. Later, you're going to be able to introduce your children to do work and enjoy work. Okay? Case study. Wise mom. Actually, it's wise mom, wise dad. The mom is the wise one in this one. Okay? Wise mom, we've changed their names. Muhammad is the little boy. The mother's name, well, her name is Maryam, and the dad's name is Ibrahim. Right? What we're going to do is we're going to follow this child from the time he's very small until he's around 7. And we're going to see the mother thinking about games that have results, tangible, physical results right here in the dunya that I'm able to do. Okay, so case study. Muhammad has the mother Maryam has bought some poster board. Muhammad, little kid now, he's just learned to draw. At first, he literally tries to take the crayon and he's trying to put it in his mouth, and his mother is gently showing him how to draw. At first, he really doesn't know what to do, so his mother actually takes his hand and she helps him draw. he can see himself making an effect on the poster board. He draws, he erases her lines. That's fine. She turns the poster board back over and he learns to draw. And the mother oohs and ahs at his drawing, his creation. Later on, Muhammad is now playing Legos. He's going to make a Lego car. As he's making his Lego car, he's going to be able to see the physical results of his game. The mother is watching as he plays. Yes, occasionally Muhammad will get a little bit frustrated. Mother encourages, and he keeps building his little Lego car until now his Lego car is complete. When his Lego car is complete, the mother oohs and ahs, and then she covers the Lego car with a sheet. She says, when your dad comes home, I'm going to show him what you built. So Muhammad and his mom are waiting. Dad comes home, Ibrahim, and he can see there's something on their face. They want to show him. He smiles, they're smiling, salam. I want to show you what your son built. The mother goes over with a big ceremony. Voila! She takes oh my God, my son, alhamdulillah, his car, great job. The wise mother. Ibrahim likes to drink lemonade, and he loves it when lemonade, some of you may have seen this, lemonade that has the mint leaves in it. There's some, right, mint leaves. Maryam has a small garden. Her son, she takes him with him to Home Depot and they get some mint seeds, some seeds. Her son goes over and he plants the seeds. He's watering them, right? And he wants to make that lemonade that the dad loves. It takes a while. He's out there, he's planting, he's watering, he's checking on the thing, till finally the day comes when they start to grow. So she helps him go over carefully, clip the leaves off of the mint leaves. He comes back, he puts them in the lemonade, and she waits till evening. She cooks a special meal. Ibrahim walks in, wonderful meal, and then after that they bring out the lemonade. And the dad sees it. Oh, I love that lemonade. It's got the little mint leaves in it. She says, these are mint leaves that Muhammad grew. It took him 2 months to grow these mint leaves. The dad takes one swig of the lemonade, like, oh my goodness, this is a drink from paradise. My son, right? His son is learning to see the results of his labor. He had to put in time, but he sees those results labor. Later, this son is going to be able to gradually get to work. Example for the girls. If we are able to get our little girls, part of the games that they play is that they get to help us cook, even if it's simple. And then we encourage, we make it simple, we don't make them ruin the whole meal, they get a chance to do that, and then we encourage so they can slowly start learning to do that. Step number 11, parents watching and observing when their children play. My children are playing a game. As a parent, I'm watching, I'm interested, I see what you're doing. Parents who aren't able to give as much time as they would like to their kids, need to learn this life hack also. It doesn't mean we don't play with our games, we don't do the other 14, but parents who feel that I can't not able to give as much time, I need to make sure that I pay attention to this rule as well. All of us like to play games when we have somebody watching, right? Even from small children, even to adults. I mean, some of you may remember the NBA during COVID when there was no fans. How flat was that, right? We like to have people watching and cheering us on. Okay. How can we make it that our watching and cheering our children on is effective? Not only am I watching, but it's effective. One of them, I'm cheering them on, encouraging. 2, telling them even a little bit of coaching, how they can get better. I'm watching, I'm paying attention. Maybe you could do this, maybe you could do that. Number 3, even telling other people about what our kid did. When they were playing soccer or other things, later they see daddy is encouraged. MashaAllah, my son did, right? They're involved. So when the child feels that somebody's watching, then they feel more motivated to keep playing. They're supposed to be playing under 7. If a parent doesn't, the child can lose motivation to play the game. Also, this was one opportunity of me expressing love for my child. The indirect message from a Tarbiyah point of view, when I'm not paying any attention to what you're doing, is that you aren't very important for me. Okay? I want to give a case study, a bad mom, bad dad. Ready? Change their names. Zain, dad's name, and the mom's name is Marwa. Zain and Marwa. They have 2 little boys, may Allah bless them, 2 little boys, Hassan and Hussein, and these two little guys love to play with matchbox cars. They're over there, they're playing with matchbox cars, but after a while they get tired of it. Their dad is in the front room and he's on the phone talking to one of his friends, Zain. The kids come upstairs from downstairs where their matchboxes were. They bring them into the presence, because sometimes they'll do this deliberately. I am deliberately bringing my game in front of you for you to notice. So they're bringing the game up into the front room where the dad is sitting for him to notice. No luck with Zain. Zain is on the phone, and they're looking every once in a while trying to peek and see if daddy is noticing. Finally, they start to play the game. Zain is laughing his head off with a joke that his friend told him on the cell phone, but he has no idea. So they lose hope in dad. They go into the kitchen where Marwa is. Maybe we can set up the matchbox over there. Maybe Marwa will be interested. So they set up the thing. Marwa is listening to a cooking show. She has those big earphones on, the ones that stop noise. She's laughing her head off at jokes that they're telling on the show, and the kids are over there trying to no attention, right? She lost an opportunity. The right way to do it. We're paying attention, we're watching, we're encouraging, we're cheering you on. This is a story that we learned from the time of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam Sadiq telling us. In the time of Rasulullah, at one time, Sayyidah Fatima had to step out of the house. She must have had some errand, something that she's doing. She's stepping out of the house. Rasulullah is there with the two boys. Rasulullah tells the boys, Hassan, Hussein, get up and wrestle. And the kids are up and they're now wrestling, right? And when Sayyidah Fatima walks in, she sees something strange. Prophet Muhammad is encouraging Imam Hassan and saying, you get Hussein. So she kind of protests lovingly. She says, well, that's kind of strange though. Big brother, she said, the Prophet said, he said, well, my daughter, don't you see Angel Jibreel is encouraging Hussein? I'm encouraging Hassan. So the right way, I'm present, I'm there, I'm viewing, I'm encouraging, I'm seeing. So, brothers and sisters, next point, 12. 12, what's this? We want to make sure that there's a happy balance of indoor and outdoor play with our children. We want our children, part of it is going to be games that they play inside the house, is number 12. And some of it are games that they play outside of the house with other children. They need both. If we don't have that balance of games where children are engaged with other children, if they're only in the house, then they can grow up to be overly shy later, socially awkward, and also unable to handle themselves in public because they don't spend enough time with other kids while they're young. You and I, we want to keep this in mind. I just want to keep this point here so I can come back to the moral compass. But one of the things we want to remember is this. We're not going to always have our kids in a bubble, right? Or always be able to control them, right? Eventually, our children are going to be interacting with the outside world. What we're trying to do now is to give them the tools so they're able to interact with that outside world in the right way by being proactive. We know this is coming. We're going to prepare for it. For this reason, that we do want to make sure that our kids are associating with others. We don't want them to struggle in their social interactions because they never learned the rules, how to deal with others, how to deal with inappropriate social situations, how to deal with people who are unkind, plastic smiles. Part of that's going to happen with this limited exposure to the outside world. One hadith from the Imam. So they say that this was at Mina. In Mina this year, there were very few sheep. Because there were very few sheep, the businessmen had artificially raised the price of the sheep. We, the companions, saw that Imam Sadiq was haggling for the price of sheep, and he was really haggling for the price of sheep. After the Imam came back, then the Imam said, you're surprised? We were like, yeah, the hujjat of Allah, just pay the money for the sheep, who cares? What did the Imam teach us about these skills that we learn through interacting with others and being in situations which are sometimes not perfect? The Imam says this, Innal maghboon, truly the person who's cheated, la mahmud wa la ma'jur. The person who's cheated, because I am inexperienced, this person is not praiseworthy, nor are they rewarded. We want our children to grow up to be smart, right? To be able to handle themselves. If they haven't got exposure in the right way, we can also have that challenge where sometimes you've seen it, where a child is raised, let's say the preacher's son or the preacher's daughter, and then they're exposed to the fitna of the dunya, and then they lose everything, right? Because I wasn't exposed gradually and in the right way. So what we want to do is to make sure that we have slowly got our children ready for these things. One part of it's going to be conversations and talking to our children when they have the interactions with others. Another part of it will be raising children who are family-centric when they see things that are inappropriate. Because we were raising them in a house which was very warm, if a behavior happens which is inappropriate when they're mixing with the other kids, we've got to expect those kids are going to come back and they're going to talk to us about it. Can I have conversations without overreacting and without going crazy? Okay? Case study. The case study, brothers and sisters, is a wise mom. The kid's name is Mahdi. The mom's name is Zainab. Mahdi and Zainab. And what happens is, she's watching as her son, that she's in a Muslim neighborhood. Muslim neighborhoods, the kids play with one another. It's safe where the kids can go over because parents pretty much know one another. And her son was playing hide and seek, tag. He was playing tag, hide and seek. So her son, Mahdi, was it. Covers his eyes, counting. Then after that, he starts running to go and tag the other kids. He goes and he tags his friend. His friend's name's Bilal. He tags his friend, and instead of his friend being happy and he's out and he's next, his friend says something that's inappropriate. He says some word. Mahdi hears that word. He doesn't know what it is because they don't curse in their house. When he comes back home, now he's talking to his mom. So he's coming, he's hot, he's sweaty. His mom goes over, gets him some lemonade, and then he says, "Mom, we're having this thing, and my friend said this word." Zainab bites her lip. She said, "That's an inappropriate word. We don't ever say that. He must not know what he's saying. I'm going to tell him when I see him." And then she quickly distracts her son. They decide to play checkers or some other kind of thing. So that's one scenario. Another scenario, mom comes back in to the house. The kid's been playing outside. Now he's with his own little sister. His little sister says something which is inappropriate. I mean, she bothers him, and the son, in the presence of the mom, he repeats that word. Right? This is a different scenario than the first. The first time he told the mom about it. Second time, the mom sees that it happens. This time, the mom again, she bites her lip. She says, "We don't say that. That's very ugly." He says, "Oh, really? I heard Bilal say it." He said, "He must not know. If I see him, I'm going to talk to him." The reason we're focusing on the idea of the mother always also talking, this isn't a cookie cutter answer. Sometimes we have to train our kids. Somebody does something inappropriate, you talk to the other kid and you tell them, "Don't do that. That's wrong." Other times, in order for the kid to take it seriously, sometimes they need an adult to follow up. Right? Sometimes you as parents, you notice something that's going on, you'll email the school, right? You're following up because you're making sure that from that side. Sometimes we'll have the kids just handle it on their own, okay? Now what happens is, if we can do it in this way, then we'll see that the little kid both will stop doing it himself, even talk to the other little kid, because he's raised in a house which was warm and he was family-centric. We also want to do this. When our children are playing with other kids, we want to supervise without hovering, right? There's a helicopter parent who is, like, I'm trying to play a game with my kids and my dad or my mom is following me all around, right? Our red line is if I'm hovering so much, my child feels small in front of their peers, right? I have to have a chaperone. I can't even play. Another time, the wise mom, the kids are playing in the backyard, right? Every once in a while, just because she's apparently seeing what they're doing, she comes out and she sees what they're doing. She goes back in, she gets something. So she's watching, she's up there. It's not complete freedom in that way, but it's not that I'm hovering to the extent that the child feels. It's more of the fly on the wall kind of approach. We also want to make sure that when it comes to these games which are inside and outside, some of us don't have the blessing of having a massive home. If we have a smaller home, we have to make up for it by going over and playing those games where we're playing outside and the kids get a chance to run around with some of those other kids. Now, now I'm going to do the little story about the moral compass, and then after that we'll go on. Okay, the moral compass. The reason for explaining the moral compass right now is this. If you and I are able to enact these techniques, we're playing games with our children, freedom, these things, our children are really going to love us. Because they really love us, we can either direct them in the right way, or God forbid, something that we do can push them in the wrong way. Brothers and sisters have noticed that one of the requirements that we have for our Hadi parents is the parental contract and the commitment for all of us not to sin in front of our children. If we make a mistake, we acknowledge it, we move on, but we don't want to change our beliefs because I'm not there yet, right? What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong, and our kids need to know what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, right? We don't want, well, this is what we want to do. When it comes to these different rules, one of the things we want to be very careful about is this. My kids don't learn from me that there are certain things that I don't do in Hadi or I don't say in Hadi, right? Let the kids grow up honest, be able to be about themselves. It's a little bit of you and I taking on something on myself. Am I willing? Because Islamic Tarbiyah, as we learned before, was inside out. My kid was born on the Fitrah. I could be raising the next one. I'm talking about the Shaheed. I could be raising the next one. Am I willing to do what God said, what my marja said, in order for my child to have that chance to be the next one? This story about Shaheed Muhammad Marian is a story that's available on the internet. The leader himself wrote a story about not wrote, but there was a story about the mother of this Shaheed. And the leader made a comment on that story. Who is this Shaheed? This Shaheed that I just want to talk a little bit about, he was only 12 years old when he signed up for the Basij. His mom had to go over and help him. They wouldn't sign him up. You're 12 years old, you're a kid. The mom had to go over and fight for him to be able to do it. 13 years old, this young kid goes to the battlefront, 13 years old. On the battlefront, this young kid, he becomes Shaheed when he's only 16. Before he becomes Shaheed, he comes back to his mother 21 days before the Shahada, and he tells her, Mom, this is the last time you're going to see me. It's the last time you're going to see me. And the mom is talking to him and she said, you can tell me what it is. You can tell me. This little guy, the mother accepts. He says, I want you to make a dua for me. Your dua for me should be this. Just like Imam Hussein's body was on the ground for 3 days, I want my body to also be on the ground for 3 days before they bring me back. Anyhow, fast forward, this Shaheed, 2 years after his martyrdom, 2 years after his martyrdom, his mother got injured taking care of some of the other kids. She was running, she ended up getting her shin broken. She got her shin broken. She goes to the Majlis of Imam Hussein. She was needed to go to the hospital to fix it and stuff like that. She was like, look, I want to get better, but she didn't feel like doing that. She went with two canes or crutches, and she goes to the Majlis of Imam Hussein. She cries in that Majlis of Imam Hussein, and she says, Imam Hussein, if what I've done so far is something that you've accepted, I would like that you cure my leg so that I can serve and I can serve the cause. A couple of days later, she has a dream. In her dream, she sees her son, the Shaheed. He comes back. He embraces the mother. He comes with other shuhada, it's a whole story. He embraces the mother. And then the other shuhada say, well, you know, what's happened to your mom? Because the other shuhada said, we wanted to visit your mom too. Other shuhada that she recognizes. She comes over, they say that, he says, your mom's sick. He said, no, my mom's fine. We went and did ziyarah of Imam Hussein, and I brought you back a piece of cloth from Imam Hussein's shrine. The son touches his mom down to her shin, and he ties the cloth onto his mom's leg. And he says, you're cured. Yeah, your muscles might hurt a little bit, but you're fine, Mom. The mother wakes up. When she wakes up, she sees that the bandages have been removed and the cloth is tied to her ankle. Now, whenever the mom walks, then the smell, the wonderful fragrance of Imam Hussein is following her wherever she goes. 2 days later, she goes to the masjid, the smell is still there. What happens is, they ask Ayatollah Golpaigani. Ayatollah Golpaigani. He sends Ayatollah Fadl Ankarani at that time and his son to go investigate. They go over there to see the mother. They bring the mother into presence. They take the cloth. The Ayatollah takes the cloth and he smells it. He's putting it on his face, on his heart. And he says that, go bring me my turba. He has turba, which was from under the body of Imam Hussein itself, which had been passed down ulama from ulama to him. And he says, these two smell the same. They came from the same place. Then he gives her instructions. People are now going to her, by the way, getting shifa, all kind of things happening. But my point was that this mother, simple mother, went in, she made that sacrifice and she raised her kids the right way. Brothers and sisters, we're going to stop here with salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.